Welcome into 49ers Halftime Live. Laura, Britt, Donte, Whitner, Joe Staley, Takeo, Spikes riding along with you as the 49ers trail the Bears 13-9 at the half. They gave themselves a chance late in the second quarter to come back in this game, aren't able to get the touchdown. It has been field goals all day long for the 49ers. I want to get to some of the issues before we talk about some of the positives, because there have been some positives in the first half of this game. Donte, though, the issues very similar to everything the 49ers have been dealing with this season, with penalties, with dropped passes, with missed opportunities to score, not field goals.
Yeah, drive killers, drop passes, penalties, pre-snap. In the secondary, not communicating, not understanding what your responsibility is, where your eyes are supposed to be, not playing good run defense. Chicago is doing whatever they want to do on the ground. But we did see that they had a spark at the end of that quarter right there. And again, not executing in the red zone. There's not a defender around Debo on that play. Jimmy, you just got to place the ball on his body, and you're going up at halftime instead of being down 9-13. So there was some positives, but they're still beating themselves in the first half.
For me, I watched that first half, an early start on the road in Chicago, and you almost wanted to say to the players, like, wake up. You know, we have to get off the field on defense. They've had 3 series. It's hard to play complementary winning football when you're not in a rhythm. And there was a lack of rhythm on both sides. Like you said, run defense, the linebackers not holding their gaps, guys up front, making it way too easy to get 3, 4, 5 yards in the run game. And then one question I have is, like, why does it have to wait to these 2-minute drill situation to take that post shot down the field to Deebo Samuel? He can make those plays. He can take the top off the defense. I'd love to see that going forward in the regular tempo of the game in the second half. But there's things to be positive about. You know, I think they were able to run the ball, I think, efficiently on offense. You just have to come up with touchdowns and not field goals.
I think the obvious that jumps out, 6 for 8, Chicago Bears, that's what they are on third down. 6 for 8, 75%. The Chicago Bears have over 100 yards rushing already, and now we're into halftime. I think in order for this team to get back to what they need to be, especially defensively, you got to stop the run. If you don't stop the run, then it's going to be a long day. You talked about Justin Fields getting into a rhythm, throwing the ball on time, understanding, hey, play action fake, I'm rolling out, guys are undisciplined, keeping contained, and that's creating more opportunities, and it shows and it reflects on the time of possession. 19 minutes for the Chicago Bears, 10 minutes for the San Francisco 49ers. And I think that's what's really killing them on the offensive side, not being able to sustain drives when they need to.
Yeah, one of the big things that is a positive in this game is that we've seen more offensive players, not just Deebo Samuel. We had a Brandon Ayuk sighting. We have Mohamed Sanu. So Deebo Samuel has 4 receptions, 73 yards. That long 50-yard completion from Jimmy Garoppolo to Samuel. Brandon Ayuk, 3 receptions, 44 yards, a 23-yard reception. Mohamed Sanu, 2 receptions, 40 yards, 21-yard completion from Jimmy Garoppolo to Sanu. So I think that's a positive for the Niners if they can carry that over where they're diversifying. Not just finding Deebo Samuel.
Yeah, and when you can't lock in on Deebo Samuel as a defense, it makes it difficult for you. You're kind of off balance. And we did see a Brandon Ayuk sighting. Even on the play where Eddie Jackson hurt his hamstring, they were taking a shot downfield to Brandon Ayuk. So they came into this game and said that we're going to break some tendencies, we're going to push the ball downfield, and some good things have come from that. But at the same time, it shouldn't happen at the end of the second quarter. You have to catch this Chicago defense when they're in single high, loaded up to stop the run, and throw the ball over their head. So for what they're doing in the first half, you haven't been able to lock in on one guy, but they have to execute in the red zone. You can't settle for 3 field goals. They missed 1 field goal. Yep. They settled for 3. So you have to execute in the red zone. And then for the defense, get off the field. Like, you're on the field too long. Yeah. Right? There's 3 consecutive drives of 12-plus plays to where you can't get the ball back for the offense, and they're putting points on the board, and this is why you're down at half. And
Fields is gaining confidence as the game goes on. You can tell. We were talking about it watching the game. When he's able to convert those third downs, he's not having the pressure in his face that he's accustomed to. The offensive line is protecting much better. And where is that pass rush? We talked about at the beginning of the season, the San Francisco 49ers up front were going to be a strength of this team. And I expected Nick Bosa and Ebukam and Armstead, those guys to put a ton of pressure, and we haven't seen that in the first half, much to the reason why they're able to have 6 of 8 conversions on third downs.
Yeah, and as far as the run game, Joe, I know this was something you talked about in 49ers pregame live. Elijah Mitchell, 6 carries for 38 yards. The 49ers as a team only have 41 yards on the ground. How do you flip that around in the second half?
Well, I think they came out with, like what you said, they wanted to flip some tendencies, kind of push the ball down the field, and you saw that. I'll be interested to see how Kyle builds off of that in the second half. I think the opportunities are going to be there for them to run the football. One thing I would love to see them in the second half is kind of get away from that power run game up the middle in between the tackles. Set up that run stuff outside. You saw the big run with Elijah Mitchell was outside toss play around the left side. Get those linemen moving downfield. The strength of this Bears defense is in their middle. You know, with Akeem Hicks, Roquan Smith at the linebacker's position, it's hard to get those guys out of gaps, and you have to get them running sideline to sideline before you come back to that power.
I want to see them come out, run the football, not necessarily in the inside to complement what you're saying, but when they get the opportunity to have the single high safety and they see the one-on-one positions, take shots. I think more than anything, the emphasis needs to be, what have you done for me lately for this 49ers team, especially on the offensive side. The last 2 minutes of the first half, that needs to be the mindset coming out in the second half.
My key to the second half of this game for the 49ers is urgency. Put that urgency on yourself early in the third quarter and go ahead and get some points on the board, some touchdowns preferably. What's your key to the second half for the 49ers, Donte?
My key to the second half for the 49ers is, I know it's going to sound funny, but the defense actually feeding into the offense. When you take possessions away on offense and you lose the turnover, the clock differential from pretty much 2 to 1, then you have to throw the football. You can't rely on running the ball on first and second down because you have to make up for some of those possessions. So if the defense can get the ball back, if they can be good and situational, they can stick to the running game more. You'll get more Elijah Mitchell. You'll get more of what you're seeing against the Colts, and you can go ahead and win this football game. But if the defense don't stop anybody, if they don't get the ball back, then the offense can't run it. They can't get any continuity. They can't get any momentum. And this is going to be a tight game in the fourth quarter. So it's going to be the defense leading into the offense, getting that ball back.
And for me, going into the half, the message is not about the adjustments. I do like, offensively what they're doing. I think pushing the ball down, try to get to the run game a little bit more. But for me, the message is, who's going to give us that shot of adrenaline coming out of the half? I think right now watching this first half, it's like they're waiting for the big play to happen instead of making it happen. Who's going to bring that juice? Tried to see a little bit of a Jimmy on the sidelines, but it can't come from Jimmy. It's got to come from, those playmakers. Make a big play downfield. Defense, get a turnover. Get something to flip the momentum of this game. Get back into our regular offense, then our structure, and see if we can put some series together where we get touchdowns instead of field goals.
I think Demetrius Flanagan fouls. I think he needs to step up. And Aziz is out. I didn't think it would show up on the stat sheet as much as it's showing up as today. That's the reason why these guys haven't been able to get off the field. Chicago is running the ball for 5 yards a pop. And I think if Demetrius understands that and become more acclimated with knowing where your gaps are when they run the football and just be aggressive and attack it, even if you don't make the tackle, at least you're giving somebody else an opportunity to make the play.
Yeah, Z's not the only one out. D Ford also out as he's in the concussion protocol as well. So the 49ers are injury riddled as they have been most of the 2021 season. Immediately following the game, flip it over to NBC Sports Bay Area. We're going to have instant reaction and analysis breaking down all the action that you see in today's game between the 49ers and the Bears. For Takeo, Spikes, Joe Staley, Donte, Whitner, I'm Britt. We'll see you at NBC Sports Bay Area after the game. The 49ers down 13-9 at the half.